1.
Welcome to Offensive, where the more things change, the more they stay the same. The Cowboys are still delusional, and the Bills are still boneheads.
Yeah, man. Bills,
And
you
the
gave up a
Niners is where
second?
people go to for health and recovery now. Mike Evans for longevity.
Watch out for those power stations, Mike. Watch out for those power stations. They're not like in the Godzilla films where it makes you bigger and stronger. Apparently, according to the 49ers players, it makes you get injured. So
it's also just.
Have you watched the new Monarch series on Apple TV? It's amazing, dude. It's all about the Godzilla stuff. Come on.
Oh, really?
Oh.
Well, hey, shout out to Godzilla movies. So
Because with your 32-year-old who got hurt for the first time in your career, go to San Francisco. What could go wrong?
What could go wrong? Speaking of Godzilla, a guy covered in scales, Max Crosby, mostly tattoos, really, but Max Crosby traded to the Ravens. Dave, there was a lot of rumors he was going to the Bears. Tell me about this. What happened?
It sounded like the Raiders asking for 2 firsts. No one was going to give it. Dallas offered a first and a second. So the Ravens, it seems like they're kind of desperate. They aren't willing to pay their center record-breaking money, but they're like, okay, we haven't been able to draft a large defensive end over the last 8 years. We haven't had a Terrell Suggs or anyone else like that. They did that for 20 years. They've hit and missed for the last 7. So like, screw it. We're desperate. We're going to throw 2 firsts at it. Max Crosby. It'll be interesting if they have Modibaki at defensive tackle. If he can be healthy this year, Roquan Smith, and then Hamilton at safety, that could be interesting. But this doesn't seem like a classic Ravens maneuver. This seems like they're looking around. They're like, okay, we've been missing DNs way too long, and our quarterback is a running quarterback. He's 29, but maybe Lamar, his playing style, maybe it's only good for another 3-4. So we're going to swing for the fences right now and overpay. Crosby, you're a beast, you're a stud and everything else, but given the age, coming off of an injury, seems a little desperate by the Ravens. It's a great play by the Raiders, which I never thought I'd say.
I think it's a great move by the Raiders as well. I don't mind it for the Ravens. And honestly, Dave, like the Ravens' identity is defense. Like they need to have a guy that can get to the quarterback, and the Ravens draft offensive linemen very well historically. So I can understand them not wanting to reset the market at center and then putting that money into a defensive player. I don't mind it, but all it does tell me, Dave, is that the Packers stole from the Cowboys even more than I had originally thought, because Micah's 2 years younger. And because we traded Kenny Clark as well, the actual salary that we're going to pay Mike over the next 3 years is about $12 million less per year than what the Ravens are going to play Max Crosby. So, like, thank you again, Jerry. Just had to bring that up. But I still like it for the Ravens. I'm glad he's not on the Bears, but I kind of wish the Bears would have thrown 2 first-round picks at him, just to be honest. But they're smart not to.
Given the way that the rest of the defense of the Ravens is set up, like I said, they have playmakers at every level. Matabuke on the defensive line on the interior is there. The Bears, we just have too many damn holes, man. We don't have an all-world linebacker anymore. Roquan, I miss you. Hope that you're going to get a Super Bowl ring out there. Safety, we finally got a safety today, but it's just too many holes. It didn't make any sense. We are at least 1 year away from trying to pull something like this.
So speaking of guys that you can fill holes with, how about your second-round pick that you stole from the Bills for DJ Moore? What a deal. What a swing deal. Bills massively overpaid. Walk me through this one, Dave.
I honestly have no explanation for it. As we mentioned previously, I was hoping for a 5th-round pick for DJ Moore. Given his age, he's going to be 29 next month.
Yep.
So I figured, okay, hopefully we can get a 5th, maybe contingent upon whatever incentives, maybe bump that up to a 4th or a 3rd is the most optimistic.
Yeah.
To be able to throw in a 5th and get a 2nd-round pick is just highway robbery, honestly.
It is. I think a 3rd would have been overpaying with his salary at his age. And if you got a 3rd, I'd say congratulations. You should have got a 4th. If you got a 4th and a 5th, I'd be like, okay, that's pretty fair. That's a lot still. But the fact that you got a 2nd and a 5th, like, I'm sorry, but the Bills GM has no idea what he's doing when it comes to wide receivers, especially. And this just proves it. He massively overpaid in this trade.
And then he even guaranteed some of the money on the back end of the contract too.
Mm-hmm.
It's like when he's going to be 31, 32, he's just like, nope. And that's why it's absolutely insane that Buffalo said, nope, our head coach is a problem. Our GM is a genius. Let's fire the coach. Let's promote the GM.
Yeah.
And it's just more of this.
Dude, seriously, Buffalo.
DJ, he can play a couple of different roles. You can play him out at X. You can play him in the slot and whatnot.
Yeah.
And he is, other than walking out the field a time or two, he can be a leader. He showed that Justin Fields could look like a competent quarterback for a year. DJ had an amazing year. He's never had a really good quarterback. When Caleb came in, Caleb was already having his bromance going on with Rome Odunze his rookie year. And then this year they got other toys and whatnot. But to see what DJ Moore can do out there with Josh Allen this year, I think that's going to be fantastic. I think it's a great play. I think it's a hell of a lot better than them just trying to go back to Stephon Diggs because, that. So,
I agree. I think DJ Moore is going to
I'd be excited. It's just an overpay from a GM standpoint.
Yeah, I think getting DJ Moore is smart for the Bills. I do think it's a great move for the Bills. I just think they could have got him with a third or less, if I'm being honest. I don't know what other teams are out there. Maybe the Raiders, maybe another team was offering a second. I don't know, but I can't believe they got a second with his contract and the fact that he's 29.
The only thing that makes sense is another team offered maybe a third, and they're like, you know what, we'll just give you a second. We want him.
Well, at that point, offer a third and a fifth or something, right?
I know, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's the only thing that makes kind of sense.
It's literally the second most embarrassing thing I've seen in a while. Now let's move to the most. That's the Rashawn Gary trade to the Cowboys. Hype, tell me why Jerry Jones loves us so much. He loves us so much. Walk me through it.
I think they see the world through rose-colored glasses of whatever they think this situation is. They must think Rashawn Gary is the guy that gets like 7 sacks and a half a season, or the guy before his ACL surgery when he actually looked like a Pro Bowl level guy. But that was the thing is, he's for his entire career, that's only been like 10% of his career. You know what I mean? So like you're thinking, oh, he's that good. In reality, if you watch tape, every single Packer fan on the planet is like, I can't believe you took him from us and you're paying him that salary. Like, wow. Like, thank you so much.
I just love 3 years ago, and you were the biggest fan. You're saying Rashawn Gary is going to be amazing. He's a beast.
Well, he was like
he should have been, Dave, but he hasn't developed a pass rush move in 6 seasons. So
he had one season where he was really good for most of the season,
but
and
even then,
after that's it.
This is the thing about Rashawn Gary. He's all about athleticism and size, not skill. And as you get older, especially on the line, if you have athleticism and size as your go-to, you get worse and worse and worse every single season. And honestly, I feel like Rashawn's been getting worse every season. And he lucked into 7.5 sacks last year because of Micah. And even the year before when he had 9, he had 3 sacks where he was unblocked. The highlight reel they were showing on a Dallas channel, like I saw on YouTube today, where like Dallas players or fans were talking about it. The highlight reel of Rashawn Gary sacks were against tight ends and running backs. It wasn't a single one of him beating a tackle. Do you understand? Because he can't beat tackles. I cannot believe that we got a 4th round pick for him. I'm so excited. I am so excited.
Literally, the GM, Brian Gutekunst, whenever people ask about him, the only thing he can say about him that was good was like, oh, he's better against the run than you think he is. And we're all like,
yeah,
what? I mean, I'm like, that's the best thing you can say.
And honestly, I wish him the best. He seems like a great guy. The fact that we were going to pay him top 5% DE money and he was performing at bottom 5% DE play. Like, thank you, Dallas. Thank you.
He had his snaps taken away from him by Enigbari, a guy on the bench. Literally was out snapping him. A guy that's like, he just got paid, but Enigbari is just like a pretty okay player, like not great, not good. He's
Dude, I don't mind Enigbari. Not on special teams, by the way. Don't let him touch special teams.
No, he can't play special teams either.
Now, speaking of the Jets, though, who got Enigbari, they also got Minkah Fitzpatrick for a 7th round pick, which seems like, I don't know why everybody wants to trade Minkah Fitzpatrick. Maybe he's not the best dude in the locker room. Maybe he just can't sit still. Who knows? But Minkah Fitzpatrick gets traded for the 3rd time in his career, this time to the Jets for a 7th round pick. I mean, I like the pickup for the Jets, but I mean, are they really going to do anything this year?
I think what they're doing is they're giving Aaron Glenn enough rope to see what he can actually do. Because I really liked last week when they made the trade for Devondre Sweat with the Titans. Because coming out of Texas, he's a giant run stuffer, mamma jam. You can have him as the nose tackle for a 3 or 4 4-man front. And then they go out and then they get David Onyemata, who is another 6'4", 310-pounder. Demario Davis is like 50 years old. He's a linebacker, but maybe he's able to bring the veteran presence. Minkah Fitzpatrick, I think, is kind of the same thing too, because last year they didn't get a single interception. It's
Right.
been brought to death. I really like them though. They short up the interior of that defense. They bring in Kingsley Enagbari, who got some pass rushes. I actually wouldn't have minded if the Bears went out to get him just as a rotational defensive end, because he messed up Caleb a couple of times where he jammed up our plays. So I think they're giving out 2 or 3 year or 2-year contracts realistically, where they can cut them after 1 or 2 once they fire the head coach, if this isn't the year that the defense takes a step up. So I appreciate the Jets, the front office, they're morons, but I appreciate them giving their head coach a chance just to show, okay, this is what I can do. So Minka
Yeah.
Fitzpatrick, he's a veteran leader, so hopefully it's a bump for them.
Yeah, I don't mind this actually. I don't actually mind this by the Jets. I think it's pretty smart. In fact, like again, I think Mick is a good player. The Dolphins just wanted to cut his salary. They kind of like same Rashawn Gary thing. It's like we just need to get the salary out of here. The Jets are like, hey, we'll throw you a 7th, right? Like good move for the Jets. Just they got the cap room. Why not? Why not add it? So I actually have no problem with that. And then honestly, I just realized I had up the wrong one, the prefixed one. So let me see if I can get. There we go. Okay, this one's actually fixed because it had wrong information.
There we go.
Yeah, that's the right one. Okay, real slickly got it in there. Okay, so now let's talk about this trade for Trent McDuffie to the Rams, which I think is just a crazy baller move by the Rams. They know they got basically 1 year left with Stafford, maybe 2 if he's back and stay healthy. The Rams also got a high first-round pick this year, so they can add more talent there. They give up the 29th, a 5th, a 6th, and a 3rd next year. So a lot of draft capital, and they sign him to a huge contract. But Trent McDuffie is a top 5 cornerback, according to most people in the NFL. Those don't grow on trees. They gave up less than the Colts gave up to get Sauce, right? So, I mean, I don't mind this trade either.
They want somebody to cover JSN, those kind of like elite receivers.
Kind of got that feeling as well. Yeah. And the 4 games Mike Evans plays next.
The 4
years.
Right.
So, yeah.
But what do you think about this overall hype?
I mean, if I'm the Rams and I'm really trying to get a Super Bowl, yeah, like if I have to play the Seahawks, you need to establish your defense and be able to shut down that passing game and make Sam Darnold make some. If you watch the Super Bowl, Sam Darnold made some throws they could have like taken advantage of, right? And picked it off. He does do that sometimes. So like reverse it, put the pressure on him, put a good cornerback out there to grab the ball away when he's not playing at an elite level. So it's great. They gave up a lot for him. So like, I guess that's just what you have to do if you want an elite cornerback. I mean, I think it's too much they give up for him, but if you're going for a Super Bowl, you might as well.
But one of the interesting things I find out about is they had to give away a lot of draft picks in order to get him. But this is the Rams, and he's in all-in mode, right? So he doesn't care about the draft picks because he has a whole lot of youth up at the defensive line, right? You have, 2 running backs who are both, one of them might be aging out in the next year or 2, but Blake Corum is right there to fill the same role. You have, go out, probably draft a young wide receiver this year, but their secondary was their only Achilles heel. They were strong everywhere else. Go out, get Trent McDuffie. The Chiefs, they create a slot corner every 3-4 years who they can trade away. The last one that they did for the Titans just a couple of years ago for a haul.
Yeah,
and that
Sneed. Yep.
Yeah, Sneed. And then they have the same coaching set there, so they can find the talent. They can coach them up in the secondary. Why not do this? If you're the Rams, why not do this? Because all of a sudden, and then the Rams also signed the Chiefs' other DB, Jalen Watson, to be their other outside cornerback. So that plus Cam Curl, the Rams, I think, have to be the favorite now for the Super Bowl.
I would think so. And remember, they still got the Falcons' first-round pick this year. So they traded away their own, which was a 29, and they still got the Falcons pick. So they didn't lose. They had 2 firsts. Now they got 1, and they got an elite cornerback. Like, I don't know. That's 3D chess to me. Like, I really like this move by the Rams. I think it's really smart. And a first, a 5th, a 6th, and a 3rd, to me, for a top 3 cornerback, top 5 cornerback, I think is pretty fair. I honestly think that's pretty fair.
And if you're the Chiefs, when you were in salary cap hell and all of a sudden you have this whole you have a giant bag of picks, why not? This is a great choice.
I think the Chiefs are not really in Super Bowl contention. I mean, I guess they feel like they feel
not
like
this year, maybe, because remember, Patrick Mahomes is coming back from an injury. There's no guarantee he's going to play the first 6 or 7 weeks.
Right.
They did go sign Kenneth Walker, right? But there's a lot of stuff the Chiefs need to do to kind of get back into
Yeah,
it.
they let the right tackle go.
Yeah, and I still think they're going to make the playoffs. I still think Kansas City will make the playoffs. They'll find a way somehow, but I think long term for them, this was the right move as well, because they also were in a cap crunch, even though they restructured Mahomes' contract. They probably did this so they could get a running back, right, and pay a guy like Kenneth Walker.
Yeah, because last year in the first round they drafted their left tackle out of Ohio State, who was injured the year before. But I think in not this year, but next year it could pay the dividends where they could be right back in the Super Bowl hunt.
Yeah. I also like this trade of Montgomery to the Texans. Montgomery is such a solid back. He's like so consistent. He's not necessarily explosive, but doesn't he kind of feel like a Texans running back where like he doesn't really show off. He just gets the job done. And when you have a defense that good, that's kind of all you need. You know what I mean? So I love this trade for the Texans. They also give up their guard to save a little money, and they give up a 4th and a 7th. Like, I'm totally fine with that. I think Montgomery's still got 2, maybe 3 good years left in him, and it brings some consistency to that Texans running game, which I think they really needed last year. So I really like this move a lot. And I like getting Dave Montgomery out of our division as well. So I'm pretty happy to see him go, because he went from the Bears to the Lions. So bye-bye, David. No more games against the Packers, please. All right. Now I don't necessarily have the details on the Pittman trade to the Steelers. I believe it was a late round pick. Is that right, Dave? What was the actual trade?
Yeah. I haven't seen the actual details. All I've seen anywhere I looked is just it's a late round swap, which really isn't that big. And then right away, the Steelers, they gave him a 3-year, I think it was $57 million extension. So $19 million per, but to have a wide receiver too, I think he's a decent complement to DK Metcalf.
He is. He's another big guy. Both him and DK are big guys. So I think the Steelers in this draft need to go for like a slot guy or somebody like that. But I've always thought Pittman was a very good wide receiver. He didn't have a lot of great quarterbacks in Indianapolis. And then Alec Pierce went and got his bag today. So I kind of like the move by the Steelers and the Colts, but it's kind of wait and see for me on Pittman. Like, I think he's always had a lot of talent, but he's never quite got there. Is it him? Is it the quarterback? Is it the system? We'll see what he does.
But I think he's a natural wide receiver too on any team. He can be a strong wide receiver too. He's never been a wide receiver 1, but I like that pickup.
All right, so let's talk about some other transactions. So Kyler Murray, as we know, he's gone. Tyreek's gone. Decker got left out. Geno got cut. Jenkins is gone. Tremaine Edmonds, Joe Mixon.
Edmonds got picked up by the Giants.
Who did? Edmonds?
Yep.
Okay.
That's his old D coordinator from the Bills.
Okay. So, yeah, I actually like a lot of these drops. Most of these are, basically guys that were overpaid. Chubb was way overpaid. Tyreek was way overpaid. Geno was way overpaid.
The 3 guys on the right are yours, bitches.
Yep. So for my fantasy team,
all yours. Yeah, that are overpaid.
I have Brees, George Pickens, and Kyle Pitts on my fantasy team. How crazy is that? I should just trade for Daniel Jones and
may as well just get the foursome. Why not
get the quad going? So yeah. So okay, let's talk about Kyler Murray. Everybody thinks he's going to the Vikings. What do you guys think? Do you think Kyler Murray's going to the Vikings?
There's not a whole lot of other places for him to go now that would probably want him. I mean, the Vegas odds are like minus 300, which means it's like, a 66% chance he's going there or whatever, like really high. And I don't think the odds would be that high if Vegas didn't really know a few things.
But if you're Indy, would you rather have Kyler Murray for 1 year or Daniel Jones, who's asking for $50 million per year? Kyler's he's already getting paid by Arizona. True. Would you rather try to offer him just a smaller deal? Just to say, why don't we see what you can do? If Daniel can do this last year, we don't have to pay that much. You can earn it. Versus Daniel Jones is asking for $50 million a year for like 3 years.
But if you're Kyler, don't you want to go to a place where you can earn the starting job and you're not necessarily competing with the guy who was great last year? Like if he goes to Minnesota, he's competing with JJ, who, let's be honest, that's not much of a competition, right?
True.
If he goes to the Jets, there's no competition. If he goes to the Colts, so he starts, and then if Daniel Jones is healthy, everybody screams for Daniel Jones to come back in. I don't think he's going to the Colts.
But if Daniel Jones is able to be successful last year, you have the first 8 games of the season to thrive in that offense. And if you thrive, then people will be like, Daniel, whatever. And that way you can set up the contract so that way Daniel gets money the first year and then, not so much guaranteed year 2 or year 3.
I think Kyler Murray's just not that good. I think he's just slightly better.
I fully agree.
Yeah.
Tua going to the Dolphins. Now I don't have that on here yet, but Tua going to the Falcons, guys, from the Dolphins. So Dave called it 2 weak arm lefty QBs. Apparently
Who get hurt all the time.
Who get hurt all the time. But I think, maybe this is good for both of them. Like Tua's had some issues, but we've seen Tua be pretty good. Penix hasn't really showed much of anything yet. So I kind of like this move. I was hoping the Falcons would actually go for Kyler. I think Kyler in that dome would do really well, to be honest. But, I don't mind the Tua move. Kind of the same thing. He signs for basically next to nothing, right? Mm-hmm. So I don't know. Do we like Tua in Atlanta, or do you think he should have went somewhere else?
Well, I think it would be hilarious and fun to watch the crumbling franchise just burn to the ground with Tua there. I mean, he's short. He has all these problems all the time where he just doesn't look like he's even in sync with the offense. And he says terrible things at press conferences that you never want quarterbacks to say. I don't know. I wouldn't want any of that stuff.
Yeah. I believe in the head coach, though, Stefanski. Maybe I don't know why, but he was put in a bad situation in Cleveland. I think he made the best of a worse situation. He was one of the ones that's able to help to resurrect who then went on to the Bengals in the division. So he's able to do a lot with crappy quarterbacks. I think he might be able to do a resurrection project there as well. Penix, TBD whether he can stay healthy or whatnot, or whether he can even make the reads. He just likes to chuck it deep. And I think it could be interesting. And then next year is when they finally go out and then they get their franchise quarterback in the draft.
Yeah, I think that's probably what's going to happen. I think Atlanta needs a reset. I kind of like them signing him for now. But I feel like Kyler would have been better for him if I'm being completely honest, but maybe he didn't want to go there. Who knows? All right. So let's talk about some other breaking news. So according to reports, Devin Lloyd has signed with the Carolina Panthers. Pretty impressive resume for Devin Lloyd in Jacksonville last year. Still a middle linebacker, kind of overpaid, but the Panthers are throwing some money around, guys. The Panthers are definitely throwing some money around. So do we think this Panthers defense, do we think they're doing the right thing, putting a bunch of money into the defense, or do we think they should focus on the offense? What do you guys feel about the Devin Lloyd transaction here?
I mean, yeah, their defense will be better, but their offense is the problem, right? Their defense was actually pretty decent last year. So I don't know. I would think that I this doesn't really scare me. Yeah, their defense will be a little bit better, but really, if you can't get your offense going, I mean, do they just think their offense is going to be fine with what they have? I think they'll improve a little bit this year, but I don't think it's going to be anything great.
Yeah,
I think they have a wide receiver 1. I think they have a questionable wide receiver 2/wide receiver 3 between Coker and the supporting cast. They have a decent running game. They invested in their offensive line 2 years ago. And then they also went out and got Jalen Phillips today too, who gave them that massive contract where it's Jalen Phillips, 8th highest paid edge defender on an annual basis at $30 million, $80 million of that in guarantees. So I think that plus Devin Lloyd, plus the guys who they drafted last year, they drafted, outside linebackers. They have a fantastic defensive tackle. I don't see, this isn't that much different than what the Seahawks built up. They're like, okay, we're going to build in the trenches. We're going to have a running game. We're going to have a questionable quarterback, 1 stud wide receiver, and we're going to make a solid ass defense in the NFC South.
Right.
Yeah, but the Seahawks have really good DBs and guys flying around. I mean, their whole defense is great.
They have a Pro Bowler at cornerback in Horn, son.
I was going to say the 2 Panthers DBs are actually very good. They're very good, and they're going all defense because they let Rico Dowdle go, right? Who was kind of running the show for them last year. Now he's on the Steelers. So I think you're right, Dave. I think Carolina is kind of trying to build the same thing that Seattle
be the running back.
So because they're not really putting much money into the offense, they did that last year.
Isn't Chuba your guy, Dougie?
I mean, I hope so.
Yeah, he's got Doug. You should be super happy because Chuba's now got no competition, right?
And then they also had the running back out of Texas who was drafted in the first or second round 2 years ago.
Oh yeah, remember that guy who
that guy? He's still good. Hopefully he's decent.
You know why that happened though? It's because I'm sorry, Panthers fans. I took him in fantasy in the first round, and of course he was terrible and couldn't play a single game in his basically NFL career. No, he played one game and he got hurt in it. I take that back. He did play one NFL game and he got hurt in it, and so he hasn't played since then. So,
but yeah, last year, 2 years ago, Carolina, they built through their guards. They built the interior of their offensive line, which is what the Bears kind of copied. And they're like, okay, this is going to be the strength. So you build up the interior of the line. You get a stud wide receiver. You get, and again, I think Coker is going to be pretty good. I think I forget what sort of a tag they put on, but basically he's not going to leave. And why not build up that defense? You got the stud cornerback. If he stays healthy, he's amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think this is going to be a really interesting defense this year because you have Atlanta's, their offense isn't anything to be scared of. Tampa Bay.
Yeah. No, I
think
Baker
kind of crumbled in the second half. So
I think Carolina knows that division is up for grabs. I think they know that division's up for grabs, and I think they're going for it. So let's get into the real fun stuff, guys. Okay, here's all the crazy free agent signings today. Alec Pierce got a freaking bag, which means that Christian Watson is going to be way too expensive next year, and we're probably going to have to pay him. Doug's probably right. He's going to get $26 million.
My number one thing was this whole year was sign him now, like before this happens.
We might. Well, it might be too late now, but dude, honestly, looking at Alec Pierce's career stats, for him to get $27 million is insane.
That's why I'm saying it's already too late. They would have had to do it during the middle of the season. Alex Pierce getting this amount of money. Now everybody online, I saw like Watson's getting $30 million now.
Yeah. Maybe.
But do you see what Dougie's doing right now? He's opening up random boxes, just trying to find money so he can get Watson.
We need to pay for freaking Christian Watson.
So, all right. So, I mean, the Colts got to do what they got to do. They got rid of Pittman. They decided Pierce was their guy. They definitely paid him for it. Now, Jalen Phillips getting $120 million with $80 million guaranteed by those same Panthers, Dave. Like we're saying, they're investing tons of money on defense. I guess that's the plan. And I like Dave Canales.
He's awesome.
Yeah, he's just
run and pass, but
he's consistently above average, but he's not great, right? He's consistently above average, and I guess if that's all you need, and you're willing to pay $30 million a year for it, I mean, he's like kind of getting what Rashawn Gary was getting, and he had a good year with the Eagles, but I guess if that's what the Panthers want to do, Commanders, same thing. Owe, he goes from the Ravens, didn't have a great year, if I'm being honest. He was good, but not great. I mean, he got $100 million from the Commanders, so they're shelling out money to anybody that can rush the passer. It seems like we already talked about Linderbaum resetting the market. Good for him. Wan'Dale goes to the Titans. What do the Titans love to do? Overpay receivers. So, yep, Wan'Dale got a bag from the Titans.
Remember, when they got their new head coach and the offensive coordinator, like this is totally going to be a reset for what our screw up in firing Vrabel.
Yeah.
So pay no attention. So they're overcompensating and
big time.
Yeah, because the Giants offense did so great in the last 3 years that, let's bring the head coach and, Wan'Dale, and that's going to be, yay.
Well, Seattle re-signed Raheed Shaheed, so I'm all good with that. It shows him from the Saints last year, but he obviously got traded to Seattle. They re-signed him 3 years, $51 million. Love that for them. That's really smart.
Ooh.
Yep. The Dolphins, I don't know why Malik shows on the AI. He's on the Titans from the Packers to the Dolphins. Again, crazy move for Malik. Happy for him.
He was drafted by the Titans.
Yeah, he was.
They're pulling all the teams from.
They're pulling the teams they were drafted from, right? But okay, Mike Evans to the Niners, 3 years, $60 million. Not a bad contract, but just too long. I want to see how it's structured because if they can get out after this year without paying a ton of money on the guarantees, maybe that's not so bad. But yikes, yeah, that's a lot of money to pay for a 32-year-old receiver coming off an injury. $60 million. John Franklin Myers, who I wanted the Packers to sign, signs a 3-year deal, $63 million, probably more than we were willing to pay. Titans got the money, so I get it. And Etienne to the Saints. So your guy that I traded you, Dave. How do you feel about Etienne on the Saints? Do you think that's going to be good for him long term?
They have two good tackles. I really wish I would have gotten the second tackle from Texas last year. And then when they went out and as soon as he got Etienne, they signed Alontae Taylor out there to be his guard. Right. So they have a solid offensive line. They have a head coach who likes a high tempo offense. So he's going to get a lot of touches. Now, when they had when they had Zeke in Dallas with Kellen Moore, and then they also had the Eagles a couple years ago, you saw that there was a lot fewer receptions for the running back, so they
Right.
weren't used quite as much, which is where Travis Etienne made his hay last year, right?
Right. Yeah.
So it'll
Yep.
be curious to see if they just keep him between the tackles, or if Kellen Moore says, "Okay, we will use that that facet of his game a little bit more." Because also with Dallas, when they had, you know, they also had their number 2 running back who was able to get catches out in space and whatnot. Because Zeke, he was just okay. We're going to pound it right up the middle and whatnot, and he was effective with getting fed. But Ezekiel Elliott, he could catch, but that wasn't necessarily his strength. That's where they leaned on Tony Pollard quite a bit.
Yeah, and so
It'll be
if they're going to run that offense like they did back in Dallas, I think Etienne could have a really big year. He's kind of he had a great year last year, and Jacksonville's offensive line was decent, not great. The Saints offensive line is actually better than people realize. They did lose a guy this year, and Alontae Taylor is a cornerback that went to the Titans to round it out. So I kind of wanted the Packers to take a look at him, but $20 million a year, no thanks. Go ahead, Titans, spend your money. Titans are spending money, man. They're definitely spending money. So
the Saints got a tackle. Let me see, or got a guard. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So I don't know. I kind of like where the Saints are going. We'll see if they're as competitive this year. A lot of times, guys like Tyler Shuck show up. They have a pretty good season, and then once people get a bunch of tape on them, their second year they struggle a lot. I feel like Tyler Shuck might struggle a lot this year, but Kellen Moore has proven that he's a pretty competent offensive coordinator. So I expect Etienne to do pretty well for them.
Sorry. It was, sorry, one moment. It was Bills guard David Edwards.
Oh, yes, David Edwards. That's right. Because
part of an offensive line that had a pretty good rushing attack.
Yeah. Now, there's a couple guys on here we haven't talked about. Tyler Biadasz goes to the Chargers a couple days ago, as you guys know. Kobe Bryant signs with the Bears, right? So the Bears got their safety.
We need another one.
What else? Who else did you guys sign? You guys signed a linebacker, right? Who else did the Bears sign this?
Devin Bush off of the Browns, who
That's right,
looked
Devin
questionable his first couple of years, and then all of a sudden he gets the Browns defensive line in front of him.
Yeah,
he looked amazing for PFF.
I think that helps a lot when you got guaranteed double team on Myles Garrett and maybe one of the best defensive lines in the NFL. But
at the same time, he also had our GM saying that we needed to get faster on defense, and he definitely is fast. He's always been a speedster.
Yep, he's a smaller guy. He's a good tackler, but can get blocked and pushed around. So we'll see how he does with that Bears D line.
And again, I like getting Bradbury just because when you see what happened to the center market, it got ridiculous for as far as dollar value. Biadasz, I thought he was our shot at 3 years, $10 million per. But at least Bradbury, when you have 2 stud guards right there to protect you, it made me think, okay, maybe we can get Tyler Decker out there at left tackle. He might not be what he was, but maybe he'll be good enough. We went out and we got we re-signed our left tackle that we've had for the last 4 years, which has never been anyone exciting and whatnot, Braxton Jones as a contingent. Simply because we lost Ozzie Trapillo due to the last playoff game that we had. So he's going to be out for the year.
Yeah. You guys need some help on the offensive line. So Dahlman, thanks for retiring. We all appreciate it. But we'll go into kind of the cap situations before the draft stuff, guys. We'll do a whole thing on the comp picks that we think are going to happen. But yeah, crazy free agency day today. More to come. All right. Before we end the show, Hype, who's your favorite free agency signing in this period? Who do you think did the best for themselves as far as these players
The
go?
person that did the best for themselves, Mike Evans, like getting that kind of money at his age, 3 years in San Francisco. That's like shocking.
Fair.
Right
All right.
now.
Fair. All right.
What team did the best so far?
Yeah.
Hype.
Okay. Well,
What team did the best?
yeah.
The Packers did because they got Rashawn Gary out of the building.
I mean, that's fair. That's fair. He is
And
biased,
cutting
but-
Elton Jenkins, literally just getting rid of that salary of those 2 guys, just cutting the guy and somehow fleecing the Cowboys. Like all of a sudden the Packers went from like barely any money. Now they can go out and do whatever they want.
All right, Dave, you go. Who do you think had the best? Who made the best move as a player this offseason, and which team has had the best offseason so far?
I think the Jets did the best job of selling it to their fan base that we're giving our coach a chance, and then they can easily pull the plug after next year when they get like 3 million first-round draft picks. So,
all right, and which player did the best this offseason?
The player that did the best, Alec Pierce, man.
It could be Max Crosby. Could be somebody that got traded. I mean, but You think Alec Pierce just got paid way too much, and he's the Kirk Cousins now, another white privileged guy getting paid too much.
Well, him and Max Crosby, neither one are actually going to win championships or anything else. Who did best for themselves? That's really tough. Looking at this list, yeah, it's real tough. I can't really see off the top of my head. I don't think they're well, what the hell? Trent McDuffie. He went from the Super Bowl favorite to the real actual Super Bowl favorite. So
yeah,
this is Trent McDuffie's season. This will be the year that he goes from rings to rings. So
all right. Now, speaking of biased, the team that did the best this offseason by far is the Miami Dolphins. Cutting bait on all that terrible players, taking your medicine, taking all the money, getting rid of Fitzpatrick, getting rid of Tua, getting rid of, Tyreek, and then bringing in a stable coach and a stable GM from the Packers. I don't know if Hafley's going to be a great head coach, but it's an improvement, I think, over McDaniel as far as stability goes. And I think signing Malik was really smart. So I think the Dolphins have by far had the best offseason so far because they just basically chopped it down to the stump and they're going to let it grow again. And I think that's exactly what that franchise needed to do. And I think the player that did the best, honestly, for me, is probably Max, just because he got out of the Raiders. Like, he's been there forever. He hasn't ever played a playoff game, as far as I know. Maybe one, which they lost. But I think him going to the Ravens, being in the Ravens culture, the defensive culture, is really good for him. So I'm excited to see what he does there. So those are my picks. Definitely not the Bears. The Bears are not going to be the offseason champions this year, Dave. I just don't think it can happen again. So
we're just going to win the Super Bowl this year, baby.
We don't lie on this show.